Today, we're planting a new apricot tree. This is the food forest in the front yard, and I'm backing up so that I can show you the bed where the previous apricot tree existed. On this side of the bed is a jujube, and we have some freesia planted underneath it. Over here is a cutleaf coneflower. There's some salvia back there, a cold hardy rosemary that I put in the fall, and it survived the winter beautifully. I did move it from the other side of the yard because it was in too shady a spot and got a little leggy, but it seems happy in this spot in full sun. This is the apricot tree. So planted right in front of it, and it was self-seeded, is cilantro, and that kind of spreads all around the garden beds in the food forest. It's blooming now, so it's attracting pollinators, and this is not the only stand of it. So I am going to take this down as I deal with replanting the apricot. But you can see that there's a dead tree here. It did survive for probably 3 or 4 years, but it wasn't really doing anything and didn't bloom. And then it died completely, and I cut it down, and it regrew suckers from the bottom where the roots are of the apricot, and it regrew to be that tall in one season, and then it died again. And so I'm not gonna let it fool me this time. I'm taking it all down. I'm replacing it with a variety that is available on Rain Tree Nursery. It's an online nursery that I've always had great luck with, and we're gonna see how that does. I think that this, even though this tree didn't like this spot, I think it was more about the tree and not about the placement. So I am going to put it here in this spot because I have the bed arranged in a pretty purposeful way. Underneath the apricot, we have comfrey that's coming in. And then on this side, this is a wing stem. This is a native plant. This will get very tall and bloom late summer. And then this, on this side, is dwarf serviceberry. And that bloomed already. There are fruit on there. So we're going to put the apricot here, and we'll see how it does. This Puget Gold apricot is a dwarf variety. You can learn more at MyNJGarden.com. They packaged it beautifully in with plastic around the bare roots, and then they braced the trunk inside that packaging with a bamboo stalk. Fruit is going to ripen in early August, and it blooms in early spring, and it's perfect for short seasons and cool weather. So I think that this is going to work well in my garden here at the Jersey Shore. So this is really interesting. The roots are moist and a little muddy. I feel like that's really good. There we go. So let me show you what that looks like. Here you can see how kind of damp and muddy, and you can see that graft area. So I want to make sure when I plant this in the ground, this area where the rootstock was cut is up above ground level, so that we don't start getting suckers from the above ground tree itself. That will affect the mature height of the tree. I'm going to cut down this cilantro because I don't need that to be in my way when I'm trying to access this area. I am going to cut down this dead apricot. See ya. Timber. And then we're going to clear away all this suckery growth that's coming up from the roots. So I also have a spider lily here, and I want to try to preserve that. I like that. That will bloom later in the season. I'm going to move some of this mulch aside so I can dig my new planting hole. I also have some mycos here, which is an inoculant, pure mycorrhizal inoculant. And this really needs to, if you're going to use this, it needs to have direct contact with the roots of the plant. So it's not something that you can apply to the top of the soil, but when you're digging a planting hole and you're putting in, especially bare root situation, you can sprinkle this into the hole while you're planting, make sure that it gets contact with the roots, and it gives your plants a head start with microbial activity in the soil. So right here, I have a bucket of topsoil that I've been using in raised beds to top off raised beds, but I have some extra for potting up some seedlings that I have in the food forest. So I'm going to incorporate this into the planting hole, but I'm also going to incorporate the native, really sandy soil that I have as well, and make sure that there's some organic matter among the roots. So I'm going to mix some of it in. It's not going to be a pure pit of topsoil. It's going to be mixed in with our native sand. Okay, so I'm pretty impressed here by the soil that I have going in this sheet mulched food forest bed. Let me show you what I see here in my planting hole. This bed has been in action for at least about 5 years, and you can see the layers of mulch at the top, and really all that organic matter and root activity is now at least 5 or 6 inches down. And then again, we have sand beneath it, and it's very sandy soil. But I'm really encouraged by the amount of rich, root-filled and organic matter-filled topsoil, basically, that's happening in this whole sheet mulched lasagna garden type of situation. And this is what that looks like. So now I'm taking my new tree and I'm going to shake this microbial inoculant all over the roots here. Just a bit. Shake off the excess. Maybe get a little down there as well. And then I'm going to place that back in the hole. Actually, I'm going to backfill a little bit before I do that. Actually, I'll just take some straight topsoil and mix it in with the sand in the bottom. That works. And then I'll put this in here, making sure that the graft is above soil level. Then I'm going to kind of hold it in place with this little stick that they provided me with. And now I'm going to hold it in place while I backfill. And actually, the hole is just about half filled right now, and I'm going to water in what I have so far to really make sure that there's good contact with the roots. And we'll let that water drain. It doesn't take long in sand. There are still some roots up above the level of the soil so far, so I'm going to shake a bit more inoculant because I kind of washed it away. Okay. And now the soil is really firmed up around that new little tree. I'm gonna water it in one more time. Make sure to really saturate that planting hole so that it gets a really good start. And I don't know if you could tell in the video, but the weather is looking kind of gray. I knew that I was going to plant it in the evening so that it had a little bit of a chance, quite a few hours, to kind of settle into its new home. But with rain in the forecast tonight, that's really a best case scenario. And it'll have, hopefully it will be really saturated and give it a good start. One way or the other, I'm going to make sure this is well watered throughout the summer, and we're not going to let it dry out or make it tough it out through its first season. We're going to baby it a little bit, and then hopefully next year it will come back and be happy in this area of the yard. This is also a self-fertile tree, and I don't need another apricot to make sure that it pollinates. If it's not self-fertile, you need 2 different varieties of the same fruit in order to get fruit on those trees. So if you were planting from seedlings, that's fine. 2 separate seedlings are going to be genetically different. But if you're getting grafted trees, you can't choose 2 of the same variety and think you're going to get fruit from them. You're not. They need to be genetically different. So that's why you pick the different names with different characteristics. Many times when you choose a self-fertile fruit tree, they do say in the descriptions that though it is self-fertile and you will get fruit from it, you will have better luck and a better harvest if you have 2 different varieties in the landscape, but it's not required in order to get fruit. What else can I tell you about apricots? I've never successfully grown one myself yet. This will be the first. I have great hope and enthusiasm, and I cannot wait to taste my first homegrown apricots. Let me know about your experience with growing apricots at home. And if I've missed anything, it's something that I should know, any tips about growing apricots, I will let you know one way or the other how I do. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and join me for all my garden updates, and wish me luck with my apricot.